Maybe this is too controversial for Tim Herron. I don't know.
Who knows?
All right, welcome to the Practical Pistol Show. My name's Ben Seger, here to answer shooting questions, but that's not what we're doing tonight. Tonight we have a live show because shit's going down, man. People are on the internet and they're mad. Well, like 3 people are mad, and we're going to talk about why. All right, so USPSA has announced the World Shoot Team Selection process. And the headline I read on Duty Project about this was USPSA HQ to lady and junior shooters, fuck you. That was the opener. I'm like, holy shit! I gotta click on this. And the relevant part of the World Shoot selection process is USPSA will field teams in the following divisions: Open, Open Lady, Open Junior, Standard, Production, and Classic. Translation: if you're a high lady or junior shooter who competes in Standard, Production, or Classic, then go fuck yourself. So that's the tagline we got to read today. Hopkins, you've been following this pretty closely, yeah?
Yeah, I looked it up, and I looked up all the past policies and how they did it then. It's
all right, well, hold on.
I think it comes from 2 points.
Hold on.
I think it becomes...
For people who haven't been to the World Shoot, which would be 98% of the people listening, they're probably wondering, what the hell are you talking about team selection? Like, what does that have to do with anything? Shooting's an individual sport, yeah?
It is at most matches, and I believe most of the time.
Yes.
Truthfully, it is at the World Shoot too, but they award medals based on teams.
Right. So each region can field a 4-person team in any division and category, right? I don't think it's any limitation on that.
There's no limitation. I believe there has to be at least 3 teams for it to be awarded.
So if you are going to field a, for example, super senior revolver team for your country, you're allowed to do that, but they're not going to award anything unless there's 3 super senior revolver teams.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's the exact number, but I know there has to be a certain number of teams.
All right, Les, as a non-World Shoot shooter, are you following all this so far?
No.
Okay. What are you not clear on? Because I want to make sure that people who don't know what this team business is about, they got to know what's going on.
I mean, I'm playing devil's advocate a little bit here, but you know, I think the question that I'm going to bring up is, most of us here in the States, in the colonies, we shoot the colonies. We shoot USPSA, and you know, there are some subtle differences as far as IPSC goes, with rules and you know, some of the do's and don'ts in some certain divisions between limited and, say, standard, right?
Okay, yeah, definitely don't run outside the fault lines.
Right, exactly, right, and that sort of stuff. You gotta, what is it, soccer style or whatever, or football or whatever. It's like you gotta get right back in at the wherever you ran out.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, whatever. One procedural. Anyway, the point is though is that I think coming from the perspective of, you know, primarily a USPSA shooter, like maybe some of the guys who are at the top of the heap or whatever, like a Hopkins or yourself or a guy like Nicky Antola, they're going to care a little bit about like World Shoot and World Shoot results and how I get on a team and all that stuff. But for the, you know, the guy who's going to matches and, you know, shooting all the sectionals and doing that, do we even really care? It's so convoluted. I can't even tell you. I think, what is it? I don't want to, you know. So Eric won production this past year, and what is it? Rob Latham won single stack or classic or whatever this year, shooting minor. That was the big uproar. And past that, I can't tell you shit about like the previous 3 years. I think what Eric Rafael won again or something. Or
an open. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll give you a few reasons why you might care, and we'll see if you like any of them.
All right.
Ready? Okay. So probably the big reason is as a sportsman, or maybe you ever watch the Olympics? Well, I'll come at it like this. like every 4 years you pretend to give a shit about gymnastics and you watch the Olympics because that's sort of interesting? Are you one of those, Les?
No.
All right, I'm one of those.
I'm one
I
of
watch
those
the
also.
Olympics when it's on. It's like it's interesting to me. It's like, hey, like let's have the USA go and do well, even though I don't care about track and field outside of that. I mean, but maybe that's sort of interesting. So if you want the U.S. guys to go to this, I mean, it truly is a world event, the IPSC World Shoot.
Right.
So there's shooters from tons of different regions. They're all there competing. They send their best. And we kind of see where we as a country of shooters stacks up against the rest of the world. Maybe you see the Steel Challenge on TV, Les. Have you ever seen it? I know you haven't gone. Okay, so they call the Steel Challenge in the U.S. That's the World Speed Shooting Championships, but that's kind of bullshit because the rest of the world doesn't show up for that. Mm-hmm. Right? The IPSC World Shoot, the rest of the world really does show up. Right. I mean, you're walking around and you'll hear 10 different languages on one squad sometimes. Right. It's weird. So it actually is a world event, and I mean, if you care at all about, you know, how we stack up against other countries, maybe you care. Another thing, USPSA spends your money, some of it anyway, on supporting some people who go financially. Mm-hmm. All right, so maybe you care from that angle. And finally, you're a pretty good shooter, Les. You train a lot, Grandmaster Les, right? You could potentially go to the World Shoot. So it's not just for people who get on one of these teams. Individuals can also go and shoot it, and many of them do. So are you a little more interested now?
So how do you do that, Hopkins?
Right. Okay. Good. So,
here's how we get into this whole.
Les, did you buy in at all about why you should care?
Yeah. Okay. I mean, so it's more compelling in that regard. I think that, you know, going back to the kind of comparing it to the Olympics or something like that, I think more people understand track and field. There's like a mass marketability.
No. I'm not saying that other people are going to spectate on this. But
right.
You, as a shooter, would find it interesting.
Right. Okay. I can dig that.
All right.
I'll buy that. Yeah.
Okay. Good. So Hopkins, let's get back into this. So I read the headlines. USPSA kind of poked a stick in the eye of lady shooters and junior shooters, or at least that's what I'm to believe.
That's what the post was about, for sure.
Yes. What actually happened? Because you've actually researched this, and you're a pretty astute dude.
Put out a policy of the 2017 World Shoot team selection policy. It's the exact same as the 2011, except they added an individual slot policy to the end of it.
Well, what the fuck? What are you talking about here?
Let's talk about the teams real quick. They're just going to send an open team, an open lady, an open junior, standard, production, and classic. So they're going to send those 6 teams as official USPSA teams. What I believe that to mean is those are the 6 teams that USPSA is going to help fund to send to the World Shoot. Okay. So basically that takes up 24 slots.
Well, why does that matter?
Well, that's a good question. USPSA only gets 60 slots total.
To the World Shoot.
Yeah, so it's very limited on the number of people that can go. So after those 24 slots are taken, there's 10 slots designated for the regional director. That's 34 slots, so that leaves 26 openings, right?
Yes.
Yeah, hard math. So those 26 openings are now determined by the individual slot policy, which means basically... Yeah, dude.
Okay.
So, let's talk about how they determine the teams.
Well, hold on. So the team that means 4 people who compete together for the team title in that division and category.
Correct.
Yeah?
Yes.
All right. Are you following, Les, as our neutral observer, you following all this?
Got it.
All right.
All right. So how they pick the teams is
wait. Why are people pissed off?
Because they didn't include every category and division that's available on that team.
Well, so that means fuck those people, right?
I guess. No, that's what some people are saying, that they're saying they're not, quote, officially on the USPSA team. But even if we look back in 2011, they had the same policy for selecting the team. But if you look at the announcement of the official USPSA World Shoot teams, which Ben can link up to you if you want.
Yeah, I'm going to put it all in the show notes. So anything you reference will go in there.
They said there's 11 official USPSA World Shoot teams. Now that is 6 more than what was actually in the policy then. So to say they're not, quote, official USPSA teams, I think is wrong and is probably adding fuel to the fire that doesn't need to be there.
Wait, so what you're saying is if you are a junior and you shoot production,
yes,
you can maybe still go there and shoot on the USPSA junior production team.
Yes,
but you won't be funded. You won't get money.
I believe, yes. There's nothing that will prevent that. So if
Okay.
4 juniors get enough points to make the 24 slots in the individual slot policy, they would be able to create a team. It would still be an official USPSA team.
Okay, so all these people can get slots. All right, so now we got to get into.
Well, Les was shaking his head there. What are you not?
Okay, no, I'm following. It's just it seems a little convoluted. If you're not part of the official team, but you get like an individual slot, and there's
then you can form the team. Yes.
Yes.
Well, exactly.
Yep.
Makes sense.
I suppose so. So Les, would you ever want to go to the World Shoot?
I mean, yeah, why not?
Well, because it's tons of money.
It'll be in France, so you got to travel there, spend the money to stay there, eat all that BS, and then travel back. So it's going to be expensive no matter what.
Dude, I'd go for the food alone, man. Are you kidding me? Oh my god, that stuff is awesome. Great. Yeah. Oh god, yeah. Sign me up.
All right, Matt. Matt, why do they have a policy like this that's so crazy? I mean, this just seems weird to me. It's hard to follow.
It's not actually that hard to follow. Once you know it,
well, Les is
read
confused.
into it, he's not confused. He knows what it is.
It's just
Okay.
he's doing it for the first
The
time.
only thing we didn't say was how they actually determine the slots, or who gets on the teams and the individual slot policy.
So that's based on your performance at IPSC Nationals in the U.S. and USPSA Nationals.
Yes, in the division that you're trying to go for.
Okay. I mean, so that's pretty
Simple on that.
straightforward. So they're going to take the best people in that division, and they get funded. They go to the World Shoot, and that's cool. So I guess where do you feel like the controversy is coming from this, Hopkins?
I think certain divisions like Revolver are not even actually going to be funded. But I think the thing that comes down to is there's only a certain amount of funds, and being an overseas trip, being an overseas trip, the amount of money per team is going to be higher, so they can't spread it out as much as like the 2014 World Shoot, which was in Florida, so travel was very cheap compared to an overseas trip.
All right. Let's ask the one guy who doesn't go to the World Shoot. Les, how would you fund, if at all, how would you handle paying for USPSA teams to go? Anything you like.
Paying for USPSA teams to go?
Yes.
Like I'm president for the day or whatever.
Yes,
and
you're president for the day. How would you handle this?
It's a good question.
I thought so.
Yeah, I mean, is this something that's coming out of like the classifier and entry fees, or is there maybe some sort of provision that you're going to tack on to a match or something like that?
Well, let's just say we're not going to tack it on to anything because USPSA has paid for it for a long time. So it comes out of like your regular membership fees,
fund.
your regular bullshit. So how would you think that they should handle this? I mean, there's a few ways to look at it, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the question that or maybe the decision that they're making is they're looking at attendance across a couple of these divisions, and I did pull up the numbers. So this past World Shoot, there were only 46 Revolver competitors. at the U.S. Revolver Nationals this May, there were 100 Revolver competitors, right? Not counting some of the no-shows or whatever, it's a little over 100. 97 Classic Division competitors versus like 400 Single Stack Division competitors at Single Stack Nationals.
Well, it's totally different when you have a combined all divisions world shoot.
Right.
It's not really. It's not super reasonable to compare that to a standalone match in the U.S.
But I guess what I'm saying is that Single Stack Nationals is definitely kind of its own deal, and a lot of people go for it even if they're shooting in a different division or whatnot. But if you look at like World Shoot, then yeah, the heat's definitely an open production standard. If you're going to put the money, if you have limited resources, if you're going to allocate the budget, you're going to allocate the budget to divisions where there's probably the most competition. There's the talent pool is maybe the deepest. I don't know.
Well, do you think it? Well, let's take a step back. Does it even make sense to you to like? Well, let's be honest. Does it make sense to you for USPSA to give someone like me money, which they have done in the past? They're going to cut me a check to help pay for me to go shoot the World Shoot. Does that make sense to you?
I don't think it doesn't make sense.
Well, that means you can't spend that money on other shit.
What else are we going to spend it on?
I don't know. New website?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Database. But I guess the point is if USPSA is one of the IPSC regions and whatnot, and it's basically part of the bigger international event or whatever that we're gonna support, we're gonna show up. Is it part of a charter? Then it's part of like the operating expense of what you're gonna do, right? So
yes,
it makes sense.
So would it make sense to fund all the teams? To you?
Yeah, I guess that would. Yeah, but I guess the question that I would ask though is that, okay, if they know they're dealing with a budget, right? Is it a budgetary issue, or is it something where there's just not enough people who are going to do Ladies Revolver?
Well, I think it's two different. I think those are two different topics: the funding and then the actual team. Yeah,
so the funding end of it, Les, I think it was $3,000 is what they gave the guys who went to Greece on the team. So if they funded all 60 slots, I suppose that would be at the most $180,000.
Yes.
Which is a pretty substantial amount of cash, yeah?
Yeah.
So that adds up pretty quickly, and USPSA has some money, but I don't know if they have that kind of money.
Right.
Where they would just be like, yeah, fuck it, fund the teams,
Right.
Not sure. I'm not sure about. I don't know. All right. So, in the wake of this announcement, Matt, there's been a new slot distribution proposal. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely there has been.
Okay, so let's talk through this. I'm going to put this up in the show notes for anybody who's interested. So talk us through the slot distribution proposal.
A pretty top-name shooter. Former world champion has put a proposal up that they give the slots based on 3 people minimum per team, which is what the teams need to be recognized at the World Shoot. So you need 3 members. If one DQs, you'd probably be ineligible to win the medal.
Yeah. Okay. So just so people know what's going on, you field a 4-person team, and
Yes.
The top 3 scores count.
Yep.
So that's the way it works. So it's a little risky to field.
Yeah.
It's a little risky to field a 3-person team, honestly, because we've had, I think in the last 2 World Shoots, I think somebody DQ'd from a team and won. That team still won because they had enough people.
So I think the whole idea behind 3 is kind of not worth it. I think you need to have a backup in there just because there's a lot of stuff that can happen. A lot of stuff's out of control. If someone gets DQ'd or their ammo, something happens, there's just not enough room for any mistakes there, really. And you need the 4-person team to do that.
Okay, so let's talk through what this proposal is. So what this does as far as I can read it, this proposal would field as many teams as possible.
It would
Pretty
actually
much.
field 15 teams possible, yeah.
No, it's not quite as many as possible. There would be 6 slots for production and 6 for open,
Yes.
and 5 for standard.
Yeah,
But aside from that, there'd be no more than 4 for any division or category.
correct.
So, yeah, what did you think about this?
I think it's a decent proposal. I don't like the 3 because I don't think having the minimum number is good on anything. Who walks up to the stage with the minimum number of rounds in their gun or on their belt? Doesn't make sense. You're going to have an issue. You want to have a backup. So I think the minimum number per team, if we do that, needs to be 4 no matter what. And if some of the categories get cut out from that, I don't have a problem with that. So basically, they're going to take the top people in the division, 6 in production, 6 open, 5 standard, 4 classic, 3 in revolver.
Okay, but
And they're going to take
the idea is to field a shitload of teams.
Yeah, and try to get the most medals won for the U.S. as possible.
All right, so this is where you might get interested again. All right, so here's the decision we have before us. We have X number of slots for the world shoot, probably 60 for the whole region. All right, and then the idea is, how do you want to allocate those slots? Like, who gets to go?
Right.
What do you think? Should it be the top people in the division get to go? It should be maybe the USPSA president gets some slots to do with as he pleases. Maybe give them to people that are big sponsors or boosters for USPSA, where politically it's a smart move to give them a slot. Should we try to field a shitload of teams to try and win as many medals as possible, where USPSA funds those teams, and that's the goal, is to try and get as many medals as possible? Or should we try and get a bunch of the membership to go, like guys like you? Like this is the interesting thing, is like, what do we do with these slots that we have?
Yeah, I guess the biggest question I've got is, like, what is really the ROI on all this stuff? I mean, like,
oh, jack shit.
It's absolutely nothing.
Nothing.
Exactly. Right.
Fuck
So I mean, if I don't even know what fucking teams won what medals from this year or whatever, then, like, I mean, why win as many medals as you can? Why not actually reward maybe overall the general membership? I mean, is it a real talking point? I don't know. Like, what's the? I guess.
Well, let me tell you what I think, Les. I feel like my take on this is, a guy like you totally writes off the idea of going to the World Shoot because you just have it in your head, like, I can't go, I can't get a slot, it's not a thing, I can't do it. Yeah? You see what I'm saying, Les?
Yeah, I mean,
so you write it off.
I mean, historically, the reason that we've never done it is, or never looked at it is, I don't know what the IPSC rules are. I'm sure I could figure that out. I don't think it's too crazy.
It's not a huge deal.
Exactly. But, like the question of, like, how do you qualify? I mean, okay, I got to go to Florida and shoot, what, it's like nationals in the U.S., and maybe based on a finish there, I can qualify for something and go somewhere. Okay, that's kind of cool. But it's like there's so many other matches to go to that were local or semi-local that were, so what was the point? I mean, I think it would be cool to shoot IPSC, right? I think it would be cool to go to an event like that.
I can assure you, it's very cool.
Yeah.
Tricks all over you.
Yeah, right.
The other thing is cost. I mean, obviously the cost has a huge benefit. Who's going to have $3,000+ they can drop for one match to go outside the country? I mean, that's a huge.
Les is balling out of control, man.
I wish.
No, I mean, that has to be brought up. There's certain people that can't even afford that or even think about it.
Yeah, so, I mean, the real question here, Hopkins, is philosophically, what would you want to do with these slots? Either load them up for the teams, or I mean, maybe what I would say, is this a fair characterization? What USPSA has done in the past is what you'd call like a balanced approach. We're going to have some teams like the top people in the divisions we give a shit about, no revolver. We'll have a couple category teams that we'll fund. So we'll use up a bunch of slots for that. The president will get some slots to do with as he pleases. And then the rest of the slots will kind of open up for the individual slot policy for some people to get slots to go. I mean, that's fair, right?
Yeah, I think it's totally fair.
What USPSA has done in the past has been what you'd say is kind of like, well, we'll do a little bit of everything, and that'll kind of be how we handle it.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
So then I think the question is, do you want to do like load it up on a shitload of teams, or just say fuck the teams altogether and just have an individual slot policy, or just give them all to the president, probably Foley, like so. Hey, Foley just gets to pick who goes. That's it, right?
I mean, what podcast with him, so hopefully he'll be one.
Like, so that's the question, right? Like, what do we do here?
You know, I like the way they do it. I mean, it's a little for everybody. If people perform good enough, they'll make the current teams. And then if they don't make that, they're taking the next best competitors that didn't make the teams as the individual slots go. I don't think there's a better, more fair way to do it.
Well, the better, more fair way would be to have, potentially, some people would say, it'd be better and more fair to have every team that we could field, right? A shitload of teams.
Well,
so that way, everybody in every category has a chance.
You got to base that on participation also. If we're going to field a team of revolver shooters...
Well, but why do you have to base it on participation?
Why not?
Well, because if your goal is to field a bunch of teams and give everybody a chance, then it wouldn't matter how many or few revolver shooters we have. We're going to field a revolver team, try and win that medal, and the revolver shooters will have a chance to go. I think that'd be the philosophy.
Okay, I agree. If that's what the board and the president choose to do,
well, if you're on the board, what are you going to vote to do?
I'm going to vote to do it how they're doing it.
So you say fuck lady shooters.
No, they can shoot open.
Jesus Christ.
I'm going to get so much shit over this too, dude.
You are. You're going to get people shitting all over you.
Yeah, dude. I don't know why.
All right. Hey, how about this? When I read through the slots, we're going to have, all these divisions, these teams, and then open lady and open junior. That strikes me as a really weird decision.
Yeah, I guess.
Okay, go ahead, Les.
That's a question I was going to ask. Is like, who decided on the current proposed divisions anyway? Like, why did they pick those? Right.
Well,
all right, Hopkins, enlighten us, because you have.
Those have been the most shot categories in the past World Shoots.
Okay.
So obviously the main divisions have the most teams in them.
Hey, talk us through this, because you dug this up in old board minutes. And, of course, this will go in the show notes. This was from a board meeting. What did you send us to?
2009, right?
Yeah, 2009. Okay.
So basically it's been how they've always done it. And obviously those two categories have the most attended from other countries also. So we're going to fill the team with the most teams in it first, which would be, well, in the category sense, is open lady and open junior.
Okay.
So basically a country that has 12 slots, they're going to field 3 teams. They're going to field the 3 main gun divisions, right? Or that's how they've done it. And if they have more than that, they're going to start filling category slots. So they filled like an open lady team because they have the most of those compared to like a revolver senior team.
Right.
So that's why they do that. Those have had the most team participation by other countries in previous World Shoots.
So again, it boils down to a budgeting question, right? So,
well, it's budgeting both money and slots, right?
And that's what I mean. If it boils down to a budgeting question, then it kind of makes sense. Like, I mean, the current proposal in light of that makes sense. If it's expensive to send everybody to France and say that they're on the team, right? Then you're gonna pick the ones that are. I mean, it's like alluded to like Moneyball a while ago, right? So this is
yeah.
This is it, right? Like, I mean, that's your stats. Like, this is how you're going to do it. So, kind of makes sense.
But I mean, when people read this,
how do we get like 60 slots, or how do we get like a certain number of slots? Like, who decides that?
IPSC decides which regions get slots and how many they get based on how active that region is in IPSC, and I believe 60 is the cap for slots. If we
Well,
can't
yeah,
get
there's
more,
a 2,000 member cap on regions. So basically, the top 10 regions all have over 2,000 members. They all get the same number of slots. So the World Shoot obviously has a limited cap on shooter participation. They can't send 6,000 people through it. It'd be a 30-day match.
and
So they have like a 1,500 shooter max. They divide
I'd
that
be,
percentage up into how the regions are participating.
and I'll tell you what, Les, I like that. I don't know that I like exactly where the numbers are and the caps are and all that shit, but I like that the system is in place that people from all regions get to go. So it really is a world event, and I like that. That's cool. It's super interesting to go meet people from other countries and
Yeah,
talk to
definitely.
them,
So,
learn
yeah.
new swear words. Lots of cool shit happens.
Yeah. So the region with 100 members or 200, whatever the minimum is, guaranteed a slot. Also, that's part of the thing.
I mean, and do those regions also, do their organizations, like, say, like IPSC Panama, are they going to actually help foot the bill for people to go to France?
Let me tell you what. I'll speak very generally here, but I think you'd find that regions outside the U.S. take the World Shoot team selection and the team thing and the national, the national pride, that element of it. They take that shit way more seriously than we do. Way
Right.
more. There's a pretty serious code of conduct for in some regions, like how you're going to act, and I mean they take that shit very, very seriously.
So you're not getting a slot from one of them regions, how then?
No, I'm not getting a slot for one of those regions. I would be fucked.
So could a foreigner, like, so could I go and try and get like a slot from, say, like Poland or something?
I don't know how that works. You'd for sure have to be a member of their association, and then they would have to award you a slot. And is there a nationality requirement as well, Hopkins?
Not that I've heard of. I know Henning has went when he's lived in the U.S. for whatever his home
He's
country
shot for
is.
Norway, yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Like the Canadian policy, they get 60 slots just like us, is they take the top 20 ranked shooters in Canada in open, limited, and production without regard to age or gender, and they give those people the slots.
Well, but that
And
doesn't sound like they're going to win a lot of medals.
that's what we have to
It's
determine.
Canada.
What are we
They're
here
not going to
for?
win a lot anyway, right?
What are we doing? Are we doing this to win medals or send the best shooters we have possible? That's the question, right?
Well, that is the question, and this is a topic that is kind of like, it's really hard to say what the right answer is. I personally, I get the balanced sort of approach that USPSA is taking with this. I get that. I probably wouldn't want to change that because you're sort of giving everybody a nod, right? Like everybody gets a little bit. There'll be some teams, some individual stuff. Michael gets some slots he can do with what he wants. So, like, if Hopkins, as a big CZ sponsor, throws a shit fit and is like, I want my World Shoot slot. How many guns did you put on the prize table for USPSA this year, Hopkins?
Plenty.
Yeah, how many? Like 100?
I don't know. I don't want to go into those details.
Yeah, so I think, if Hopkins wants a slot, he's going to get one, I hope. Probably, right? Or you can always pay $10,000 to become an IPSC
True,
patron.
Yeah. No, dude. I'm
And
your
then
friend. Vince
get a
would
slot.
veto that shit so fast.
What?
I'm your friend, dude. Vince would veto that shit so fast.
I think they'd take the money.
I don't think he would,
$10,000.
dude.
You don't think
I don't
they'd
think
take
he-
your 10 grand?
No.
Shit. Well, you're in trouble then.
I know.
$10,000 would smooth over a lot of issues, I think. It would
Yeah.
for me. What is Tim
Yeah.
sending for us?
He's nothing really important.
He says he's mad. Okay. All right. Hopkins, is there anything else to talk about with us? I I feel like we've had a good chat on this. It's been very enlightening.
Yeah, I mean, I think it comes down to funding the teams is one thing, and then picking the teams is, or picking who gets the slots is another.
Yeah.
I think people are confusing the two at this point, and obviously USPSA is pretty late to the boat since we're 2 weeks away from nationals, and they just now released the policy. Come on, you got to do this earlier in the year.
Yeah. Well, where do you see this conversation going, Hopkins? Like in the coming weeks and months?
I don't see it changing right now till the new president is in.
Yeah.
And then after that,
then the interest groups will start laying on him to get him to do something,
yeah,
right?
So get prepared, Mike.
Like people who want individual slots will be like, I want my slot, Mike.
Yeah.
And people who want a team category slot or something, they'll be like, I want my slot, Mike. And he'll
Well, I
be
think
like,
it'll come down to, I think we'll have more slots available than people think because there won't be that many people wanting to actually go to France and shoot. Just
no, not if
because
they're
of the money.
not if they're paying for it. No.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right.
Well, actually, one thing I was going to say is, you kind of bring up this whole point of like, where should this go, and we kind of broach the whole political issue here with Hopkins,
Yeah.
and moaning about the whole, we got to decide this a little earlier, which I totally 100% agree with. But I think this is kind of a it's a problem of perception here. I mean, okay, so if the bulk majority of the USPSA membership, kind of isn't clued into the fact of like how IPSC and USPSA work together, and what's the relationship between these two groups.
It's strained.
I can tell. You do a lot for that, I think.
I'm trying to help. I'm building bridges, man.
Yeah. Path to hell is paved with good intentions, right? Trying to help, right? But anyway, what I was going to say is I think this is kind of a problem. We getting people even interested in doing like a USPSA election, right? Voting for the next president of the organization.
As it is right now, like 20% of the members who are eligible to vote voted.
Right.
So we're doing pretty good.
Like 2 weeks left to vote, right?
Yeah. I think we hit it out of the park.
Yeah.
It's a good turnout.
I think this show does quite a bit for that. And,
I was joking. This was a failure. What are you talking about? The turnout's been a fucking embarrassment.
I think the turnout from years previous is probably even worse. But what I would say though is I think this is the point that I'm trying to make though is that I don't think enough people who shoot USPSA even know what the relationship with IPSC is, let alone how things for the world shoot actually get decided or anything like that. And I think that's I kind of would hope that the new board coming in and the new president coming in might keep that in mind. If this is going to be such a priority, or if this is going to be some sort of like fodder, then maybe there's got to be a different way that it's marketed to the membership. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. Like this, people, I think people aren't engaged with this because USPSA leadership is not engaging with them. Yeah.
Right.
And
yeah.
I personally, I ran my yearly schedule on which matches I'm going to shoot where, and I've just assumed the slot policy would be the same as in years past.
Right.
And lo and behold, a couple weeks before IPSC Nationals, that was announced. And I'm like, that will indeed be the case.
How shitty would it have been if they're like, well, we'll just do 2016 IPSC Nationals. We'll take the best 3 of them.
How shitty would that have been? That would have been fine by me. I like IPSC Nationals.
No, I don't know if I would have attended.
I mean, how many people were at IPSC Nationals?
It's irrelevant because it was held right after World Shoot, and a lot of international guys stayed over and shot it again.
Right,
IPSC Nationals will not be a big event.
Right.
It just won't be because USPSA shooters by and large.
2015 IPSC Nationals has less than 150 people at it.
Really? Yeah, it's coming up in October, right?
It's 2 weeks away.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, nobody gives a shit about that match.
See, I guess this is a question. Is like why? Why is that? Right? I mean,
because it says IPSC in the front of it, and you're like, well, I don't really know the rules, and there's plenty of USPSA matches to shoot, so whatever. I mean, that's kind of like if I'm at if I go to Area 2 or something, or I happen to be in the region, guys are like, well, why don't you shoot this match? Why don't you shoot Area 2 or this or that? Or it's kind of like there's so many goddamn matches around. Like, I don't have time to do all these matches. So there has to be something that piques your interest in a particular match, right?
Mm-hmm.
And for IPSC Nationals, for me, it's like it's a chance to shoot an IPSC match, and I like the way they build the IPSC matches down at Frostproof. I like that. And it's a chance to qualify for the World Shoot team, which is something that I want to do. I want to go shoot the World Shoot. Right. I shouldn't say it that like I'm going to shoot the World Shoot.
Right.
I don't care if I have to give Vince the 10,000. I'm going to shoot it. You know what I mean? I'm going to shoot that match. It's going to happen. What?
No, I was going to say something, but I'm going to shut the fuck up. So
you look like you've been doing a little bit of drinking less. So discretion was the better part of valor on that one. Good.
No, this is the first and only beer of the night. So
Jesus, were you smoking pot or something? Because your eyes are.
No, I'm tired. I was up early today. I actually shot today for the first time. Well, I shot on Friday for the first time in like a month.
Did you shoot a match today?
No. My wife's out of town with the National Guard, so I got to watch the kiddo. So,
okay.
Yeah, my daughter. But it's pretty cool. Yeah, I got out to the range at like 5 and had a couple rounds down range. That was a lot of fun. So,
you missed it, didn't you?
Yeah, a lot. I really had.
This whole having a kid thing really smoked you.
Actually, it wasn't that. Honestly, like I've got some stuff going on with work, so I'm switching jobs and knee surgery and the kid. It's just, when it rains it pours. So.
Well, hopefully we'll be back into it.
Right. Maybe I'll shoot the World Shoot. I'm gonna have to work real hard at it though. Like I've got 2 weeks to prepare for IPSC Nationals, right?
Yeah.
Are you? Maybe we could talk you into going. All right. Well, that's gonna do it for us today, I think, guys. Yeah.
Cheers.
This will go out live, and if anybody in the audience has any additional information or comments or questions or anything like that, I think that this conversation is interesting, and the more we talk about it, the more I'm learning about, why should we care about the World Shoot, and how has USPSA done this in the past, and where should we go moving forward? So I think this is interesting. So this would be a good one for the audience to get engaged with, and maybe some more people will get interested in going and doing IPSC events. That's my desire, because I should say something that might surprise a lot of USPSA shooters. I think that IPSC matches, in many respects, have surpassed what we're doing in USPSA.
Let me ask why, because if you're going to end the show on that note, then people are going to be like, whoa.
Whoa, why? Okay.
Is it because of the stage breakdown, like that whole thing?
They have more interesting stages in a lot of respects. The matches tend to be more fun to shoot because you don't generally pace targets at IPSC matches, or it's going to be set up differently. So I shot one match where you worked some shifts and you shot some, which was really cool because when you were shooting, you just shot. You didn't pace any targets. Mm-hmm. But then when it was your turn to work, you worked your ass off, which again I was fine with because you weren't wearing a gun or anything. You didn't have to worry about shooting. You just worked. But there's interesting stuff happening in IPSC is what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. They've got cool stuff happening, and we should pay attention to IPSC because there's a lot we could learn.
And
there's a lot of good ideas in IPSC.
Why have we stagnated here with USPSA if you're saying that they've progressed a certain way? Or?
Have you ever shot an IPSC match?
No.
Exactly. I mean, that's why, because USPSA is its own little thing, right? But if you go shoot IPSC, like in Europe, you can, you might live in, I don't know, you might live in Germany, and then within driving distance, you've got a bunch of countries with their own little things going on, and it's really easy to drive around and go to a bunch of different matches. So we're kind of isolated here, and there's, that's why we're not getting a lot of the cool stuff that's happening in IPSC. We're not seeing here.
Right.
So I think it'd be good.
It's generally harder shooting also.
Yes, and to be honest, there's a lot of cool stuff that happens in USPSA that IPSC people don't see either. It's just it'd be nice if we were
communicating more and like shooting each other's matches, traveling around. That'd be a cool thing for the sport. But anyway, we got to end it, Les. We got to end it. So if you have any shooting questions you'd like me to answer, go to benstegger.com, get my email address and email me that shit, and we'll probably talk about it.